Peace and love. What up, though? What it do? What's popping? What's cracking? What's happening? And times 9 times 10. What's that? 90. So we still get 9 again. So when I say times 9 times 10, I'm still on a 9. What y'all say? Nuevo, like Nove. Do you remember November? You know what I'm talking about? That 9. Extraordinaire. High, 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 highest of the high, high. Would you say the most high? Don't get offended. If you got knowledge of yourself and I say 9 and I'm talking about the most high, why would you get offended? No comprende. No. I say nope. I don't. Why? I don't get it. Anyway, again, greetings to you all on this Saturn's Day. Saturn's Day. It's a Saturn's Day. Yeah. Saturn's Day, yeah, you know what I'm talking about? I done forgot my was it Ronnie? Is it Ronnie Laws? Or what's the other cat? Jazz cat. I know it's Ronnie Laws and this Ronnie Jordan. I know he got a tune I used to listen to quite frequently with my boy Roy Ayers. Godfather, my life, my life, my life, my life. In the sunshine. I think life in the sunshine should be enjoyed by who the sun adores. You know what I'm talking about? Those who the sun seek to kill and destroy, of course, don't enjoy the sunshine. You know, just makes sense. Again, y'all see the title. You like how I did that? Pawn key, PawnKey Pox, pawn like a pawn. Y'all play chess or checkers? I'm asking. Some of us are experts at chess without even playing it. Hmm? I'm talking about the game, the board. I don't even. It don't even sound. It sounds crazy to say chess is a board game, right? If it's reflective to you, if you utilize the game of chess throughout your life and your experiences or whatnot, again, to refer to um, chess as a board game, it kind of throws me off a little bit. And to try to squeeze Monopoly in, because Monopoly is a board game, right? To try to squeeze that into that same sentence when you're talking about chess, Monopoly, chess, you know, let's talk about it. Is the board game Monopoly even in the same realm as the ancient game? And let's be real. Boo me if you like, but it's still a board game, right? Hmm? Is it not? It just don't sound, you know what I mean? It don't sound good. Keeping it a buck. Let me go back to the comments right quick before I kick this off because I've been slipping. So we don't want to slip today. Last night I came out of nowhere building. Wasn't playing. That's why I wasn't on YouTube. It was strictly a fed book. I mean a fake book bill. There's a lot of people be faking on a book, perpetrating fraud. You got on some Pumas with a Reebok sweater. You perpetrating the fraud, and we perpetrating the fraud over here. Listen to the bill. I listened to it. I was just listening to it, and I listened to it earlier today. And I said, fleas and ticks, fleas and ticks. You want to lay down and get fleas and ticks? And I left out the lice. So I know I left for many of y'all, with scratching y'all heads or whatnot. Talking about some, what does she mean? Fleas and ticks and love is love and Clarence Thomas and what's the Katanji? What's her name? You don't know. You can't give me an answer to that. Katani Jackson, the Katanji, something. Like I said, what's the difference? What's the difference when you step outside of the melanin group? Like City Group, you left out the melanin group to go lay up with and possibly contract ticks and fleas and lice and lice and lice and lice. I just kept saying fleas and ticks, so I know I lost y'all. Some of y'all brothers and sisters who was following the bill, you knew exactly what I was talking about. So I wanted to clarify that. And I spoke about a murder clearance rate. What is a murder clearance rate? Like a clearance sale. I know I talk with an accent. It's a genetic accent though. It doesn't come from a particular region of the land, portion of the land that, I domicile, or the portions plural of the land where it's just how I speak. And to prove that it has to be, genetics or DNA. If you listen to my siblings on the, phone or in person or however you hear our voice, you'll see we sound alike. It is what it is. But again, the Clarence murder rate. I'm not saying Clarence like Clarence Thomas, stroking, the one that be stroking. I was actually talking about the Supreme Court justice guy at first, but again, a murder clearance rate. So let's go to that. Let's get away from here, what I got on the screen over here, and let's look at what that is. All right, it didn't switch over. So hold on, let me take myself away momentarily and go back to it so we can all, and we can do this without me getting copyright strikes, right? Okay, so right here you see Detroit homicide clearance rate. So they call it clearance rates. Detroit homicide clearance rates rise as national rates fall. So if you go above, and this is by way of CBS News, right? So let's go up some. It says 6 reasons the murder clearance rate is at an all-time low. But again, if you go to the places where the people are living at the poverty line, in poverty, or just barely above the poverty line, you will see that the homicide clearance rates, they say murder clearance rates, they rise as national rates fall, right? That's what it says. Again, I want you to focus on this word clearance. Can I highlight it? It won't let me highlight it. I mean, yeah, if I go to the actual, see, it did all that. Okay, so boom. I messed up. Let me start it over. Bam. See the word clearance. I want you to focus on the word clearance because again and again and again and again, as I have and I shall continue to mention the fact that these people are doing business. When you see this word clearance, the same way you see that they have charters, which proves that they were established, founded, incorporated in a particular year, the same way as Macy's or Kmart or Sears and Roebuck and whoever else, right? And they have a murder clearance rate. Yet when you're having these conversations, I know y'all vibing with me, but when we have these conversations with various politicians or even your average police officer, right? They get completely silent or defensive or aggressive when I'm merely showing you your shit. You're supposed to know that. Why do they refer to murder rates as a murder clearance rate? They don't got no answers. None. And being that in that moment, they may feel incompetent, inadequate, incompetent. What's the other word? They feel like you challenging their authority. And me, I'm like, what authority? Because you work for a city or a state or some type of corporate entity. You're their employee, right? None of them would deny that. So you have to meet these people where they at. They wouldn't deny that they work for the state of Georgia, right? They wouldn't deny that they work for the city of Atlanta, right? So if the city of Atlanta has employees, right? That means that the city of Atlanta is doing business. And that's fine. I can't believe I'm saying that, but to make my point, I'm going to say that that's fine. The city of Atlanta can do as much business as they like to do, right? But with these people who are employees to these businesses don't have the right to do is to force us to do business with them. That's when the problem always comes along. And I'm going to prove that right now before I get even too far along into this, right? So again, I'm going to take me down. And speaking of the city of Atlanta, okay, then I didn't even have to do that because it did come back. So I guess I'm going to start here. See this? we're gonna talk about why I'm talking about this. And due to the fact that I do not want to receive any copyright strikes and things like this and that, I'm not gonna show you the actual footage. But what I will do is I'll share the audio. And this happened a couple of nights ago, right? You had a sister and a brother at the park in Atlanta chilling, right? And they have Ohio license plates. So when the cop pulls up, he say, "I see you got an Ohio license plate, so you guys are probably from out of town. But this park, after whatever time the park closes, you know what I'm saying, you can't be here." And they say, "Okay." And then he says, do you all have IDs? See, this is when the problem comes in. This is the reason a lot of us get caught up in a bullshit, right? They say, identify yourself. Hold on, you just told me that, we're not allowed to be here. You even acknowledge the fact that we could possibly be from out of town and wouldn't know about these stipulations and regulations and prohibitions that the city of Atlanta has created for their citizens and subjects, right? But I didn't know this because I'm not from here, right? Okay, so again, they say that they teach their policy enforcers that y'all call police about de-escalation. Now I say this. How about teaching them prevention? Then we wouldn't have to talk about de-escalating a situation that shouldn't exist in the first fucking place. Is this a public place or a private place? I say it don't matter based upon, well, it does, but it doesn't. And I'm gonna show you why it doesn't first before we even get into the public and private portion. It doesn't matter because the city of Atlanta, again, is on paper with a charter, right? And they're making claims that they have jurisdiction and they have the right to do commerce and trade and so on and so forth within a particular drawn out jurisdiction, right? So many miles, so many acres that they're allowed, they have a circumference of where they do their business at, right? Cool. McDonald's got a whole bunch of McDonald's. Again, Burger King got a whole bunch of Burger Kings, right? And if I don't want to buy they shit, I don't go in there. But see, when you're talking about an entire city or an entire state or a state, as we would say, a state, they say they couldn't understand me last night, a state. I talk funny, so what? I got my own accent. Come from the royal bloodline. I'm talking about come from the Kenshins and all of this and that. So I sound a little bit different. So what? Again, it's difficult for us the same way it was difficult when your ancestors got caught up in a jam dealing with these invaders by way of contracting with them unknowingly, unwillingly as well. But when you have 500 strangers arrive on your estate who are fully armed, carrying fleas and ticks and lice and shit, and you don't want them in your life and shit, and they have an interpreter who favors you maybe in phenotype and complexion or whatnot, but they're not a part of your clan, which y'all call a tribe. They ain't a part of your clan or your tribe. But they speak in Algonquian and Muskegon, and you know what I'm talking about? Because you don't speak the same tongue as these invaders. Again, who have came on your land in numbers that exceed the number of your clan, right? Excuse me. And they arm with different arms that it's not so much that our ancestors weren't familiar with these types of arms. They just weren't mass producing them because they didn't have a need for them. Or at least we thought we didn't have a need for them. Now we see the shit different. We don't see it as if we don't have a need to be fully armed. You know what I mean? Because the first thing most melanated people will say when we begin to talk about sovereignty is, well, we can't be sovereign because we don't have a military. But when we start talking about militias such as, what's his name? The brother that had the NFC, which in fact, when we're talking about in fact, y'all like, that's dangerous. They got an actual militia. Not knowing that Look at look at the Constitution. Look at the word militia listed in the Constitution. George Washington and all them good old boys that y'all called of the forefathers, the founding forefathers, that needed a Declaration of Independence because they were indentured servants, slaves, Slavs, Yugoslavia, Yugoslavia, Czechoslovakia, Slav. I'm talking about. Again, let's get back to Atlanta and the sister in Atlanta. Again, the cop recognizes that the brother and the sister may not be from Atlanta, right? But he goes from recognizing or showing some type of honor to another human being to do you all have IDs? That's how they do business with you. When you seek employment with the company, because again, or corporation, which Atlanta is, and has a charter to prove it, they want you to identify yourself, right? They want social security number and some type of driver's license or state ID, some type of identification that they say that they recognize, right? So in a sense, that's an offer. But what I don't understand, and they do this in various states that used to be our estates, right? Would they make you sign a ticket, right? So that's why what's on the screen is on the screen. So let's briefly take a look at it. It says signing a ticket is not an admission of guilt. Refusing to sign a citation, so you got ticket, you got citation, and I say suit. It's a suit against you. But refusing to sign a citation is considered reasonable cause to believe the individual will not appear in court or will pay the fine, and the officer may then physically arrest the individual. So they saying that you will not appear. You won't make a special appearance in your proper person and appropriate persona in our court of bullshit. So being that we don't believe that you will show up if you don't sign. Hold on, if I sign something, if I put my signature onto a piece of paper, the same shit that's happened to my ancestors is gonna happen to me. But you can't tell these idiots. Mind you, this was a melanated man who roughed up this sister because she would not sign this contract. Again, forcing you to support your own demise by way of the same corporate entities that have been a thorn in our ass since they arrived. And they went from 13 colonies to how many? How many sets they claim? Because essentially that's what it is. How many sets is they claiming? So we discussed this briefly last night, but I did not mention now what would the officer had done if the sister wrote TDC on the ticket. He don't know what your signature, looks like. Now, granted, he could take that ID that they gave him. Again, the brother, he was hesitant to sign a ticket in the beginning as well, but eventually he did, right? The sister did not want to sign it. But once she saw this officer begin to become aggressive, not just in his attitude, but physically willing to put his hands on her and shackle her up and sexually assault her by way of what y'all call a search, and then kidnap her and hold her for a ransom for a ticket that he was attempting to extort these people, you understand, for breaking a policy. The same policies they've been making up since day one in order to be able to become the powerhouse of wealth that they are by way of incarcerating their subjects, their POWs, their wards of state. See, we done went from being the heirs of estates to being wards of state. How you go from being heirs of estates to being a ward of a state? And they real careful with their words. You see that they say state. They don't say a state. They don't claim any titles of nobility, right? But they move in a way of sovereign nobility. Do they not? As royals. See, we can have all the ills, all the bays, all the days, all the Alis, all the owls that we like. But it started at home. If our own relatives don't honor their own nobility or their own titles of nobility, I can't expect for the city of Chicago, the state of Georgia, the state of California, the state of New York to honor a fucking thing. They know that they are breaking multiple international laws every second on the hour, every second on a minute, and every minute on an hour. Right? They know this. It's not a it's a matter of us. We can make all the demands that we want, but there are methods to us being able to assert our sovereignty, right? Yes, it is. I say it is. I say we have multiple examples of such, right? Make this make sense. Signing the ticket is not an admission of guilt. Do you sign anything that you don't plan on reaping some type of benefits from contractually? That sounds incompetent. Again, who does that? Signing the ticket is not an admission of guilt. Refusing to sign the ticket, refusing to sign a citation is considered reasonable cause to believe. Reasonable cause. Like probable cause. No, I don't say probable cause. It says reasonable cause to believe the individual will not appear in court or pay the fine. And the officer may then physically kidnap, sexually assault you. This don't make sense. The fact that they have this type of process of legislation on the books needs to be removed. So let me see. Do we have some audio? I'm sure I can set up audio right quick, y'all. Hold tight. Because again, I would like to show this. But the way these people play, you know what I mean? The way that they operate their businesses from the ceiling to the floor is, let me be very descriptive in my frankness. Thank you. Again, if I could show the video, you know what I mean, then I wouldn't have to do so much talking about this. Let me see something right quick, y'all. Is this bow? See, because you got a lot of what we call supporters of the terrorists, if you will. Because there's no way that you can justify this. See, people will, just like you look at the comments on this particular video, right? And people will try to justify it and say, well, why she should have just signed a ticket and it would have never happened. She offered to sign a ticket once she seen that this goon was going to get physically aggressive with her and actually kidnap her. You cannot justify this. There's nothing that you can say to make this acceptable. In other words, is what I'm saying to you. You're going to kidnap somebody and throw them into jail and hold them. You see, they don't go further into detail. They give you the information concerning that. Well, we believe that if you don't sign a citation that you plan, it's not an admission of guilt if you sign it. No, of course not. But if this woman had wrote TDC on there and that officer had, saw it, he can't say that that's not her signature, but he has her ID, so he can do a comparison, right? We know, let's go back a little bit. TDC, threat, duress, and coercion. Coercion. How you spell that shit? It ain't pronounced how it's spelled. I know that. What is it? Yeah. So, but if I say coercion, threat, duress, yeah, because you're being threatened. You're saying that if I don't sign this, you're going to assault me, sexually assault me. You're going to rob me because you're going to take everything from me. kidnap me, shackle me, kidnap me, and hold me for ransom, right? Dang, I hope this ain't cut off, y'all, because I see a issue right now. Hold tight, hold tight. No, it's still on. Why is the tube doing that? Well, I'm not gonna worry about it. I'll let it play.
All right, there is outcry tonight after an arrest by an Atlanta police officer goes viral. This is the video we're talking about. And this couple was being cited for being in a park after dark, and things escalated when the woman, as you heard, refused to sign her ticket. Well, she now says that the officer's use of force was unnecessary.
CBS 46's Patrick Quinn joins us live. And Patrick, Atlanta police has come out tonight defending its officer and released body camera.
You cannot defend a 6 foot, 250-pound man straddling a woman because she does not want to sign a document that's going to make her liable. You understand? That's going to make her a willing participant in doing business with the city of Atlanta. Again, they do not do this to the Cherokee. They don't do this to the Creek. They don't do this to the Blackfoot. They don't do this to the Shoshone. They don't do this to the Lakota. So again, what I'm saying to my people is this shit is on us, right? It's on us to come to the realization that, okay, again, I'm going to say it again, probably for what, the second or third time this evening. The city of Atlanta is doing business, and we say, okay, cool. But we reserve the right to not do business with you, right? We don't want to contract with you, because contracting with them means that you're going to get robbed. You're going to be extorted. You're going to be liable for the millions of statutes and codes and acts and policies and prohibitions, policies that they create, right? I don't want those liabilities. I accept full liability for my actions. But when it comes to somebody telling me not to collect rainwater on a Tuesday, or that I'm not allowed to collect rainwater on a Tuesday, when they didn't make it rain, did they make it rain? Does that water which falleth from the sky belongeth to they asseth? I'm asking. Especially to my brothers and sisters in California, y'all know about them laws very well. No collecting rainwater on a Tuesday. Again, did the state of California make it rain? Is that their water falling from the sky? So what gives them the right to regulate this? Well, they did it by way of force, the same way that officer threatening to arrest or kidnap that woman told her she no longer has an option to sign the citation now. You're going with me, and I'm going to sexually assault you. I'm going to rob you. He snatched her hair off. I don't know what the proper term for the kind of hair she had on. Excuse my ignorance. But that's what happened. Now rewind. Go back to 1801, 1804, 1769. And tell me you don't see that same type of behavior by way of these invaders on us. And now in this day and age, we have melanated men and women enforcing they Christian black codes, they Jim Crow, they city ordinances, which I said again, I said the Christian black codes of 1724, I said Jim Crow, I said vagrancy, I said city ordinance. So I said four things and saying one of the same. I said the same shit. The issue is we got amnesia. We think that's all some different shit. It's all the same. We think it's something different when it's not. Coming from the same peoples. We coming from their heirs, their descendants. Same bloodline. Hold on, y'all. My son doing too much. Hold up, hold up. My bad. Anyway, again, same conglomerates of fraternal orders, if you will. Ku Klux Klan and them, Skinhead, Aryan Brotherhood. So when you say shit like that, right now in today's age and time, and I say Christian Crusaders, Doctrine of Discovery, Old Virginia, Dutch East Indian Company, well, we saying the same. When you say Bank of America, you saying this. When you say United States of America, you say GM Ford. You saying the same thing. Why do you think that the United States of America, as a so-called, y'all call it a government, right? As if they don't have a charter showing the year that they were incorporated, established, and founded, and co-founded, and so on and so forth, right? And when I say I don't want to do business with them, so I don't want to do business with them, what's the benefits of not doing business? It's the same thing. I don't eat hamburgers, so I'm not fucking with McDonald's. I'm not fucking with Wendy's. I'm not fucking with what Hardee's, Burger King, name it. I don't eat cows. I don't eat porterhouse. I don't eat T-bone. What y'all got? Y'all got Sterling. So which how you say that? I don't eat it, so I don't supposed to know how to say it. Right? So being that I know a large portion of the history of the state of Michigan. I know it's a difference in between the state of Michigan and Michigan State, and neither one of them motherfuckers ain't on my team. I recognize that. Okay? So with me having that knowledge, right? I make a wise decision to not do business with these people. Now, when I'm not doing business with Nike, a Fubu, or American Jewelry and Loan, you know what I'm talking about? When I'm not doing business with them, I don't have interactions with them. I don't have to worry about it. Not going in there to buy anything or get any information. That means that eliminates and alleviates all interactions with them, right? So why doesn't these various states, why they don't function the same? Why Illinois doesn't respect the fact that you don't want to do business with them? Now, let's be specific. If you are out here actually committing criminal acts, in their particular area of, we just say in that particular territory in which they have a charter which gave them permission to do commerce and trade upon that land, because that's what it is, and I'm gonna say it that way every time. Don't worry about it. Right? You have murdered somebody, maybe you kidnapped somebody, maybe you robbed somebody, let's say you committed some fraudulent acts. Those are fucking crimes, right? Those are crimes. But me being on a piece of land at a particular time, because being that we bring the sister, we talking about this case, we gonna bring it in full circle of what it is. The first time one of these invaders, establishments or corporations or states or colonies created because that's basically what they saying, is that she is trespassing on city property, right? So you can't be here, you at this park at a particular time. This fact right here, if this melanated, we don't know if the cop knew this or not, but I don't see why he shouldn't know it. This trespassing shit, a rule that invaders from other nations made up on our sacred land. Do you know when the first trespassing, no trespassing, if you are caught trespassing in this particular area on this particular land, you will be jailed for 5 years and fined $5,000 or both. Vagrancy laws, right? In Atlanta, Georgia. And they have the audacity to submit a rebuttal by way of the local and international media. And nobody is making sure that cop hear the words "pop go the weasel." Again, unfortunately, I can't share the footage with you all, but y'all all got YouTube, and y'all got shit at your fingertips. You can go look it up yourself. Atlanta police officer assaults woman at park for refusing to sign a ticket. And again, their local TV news stations are trying to justify this shit. I said it last night. I don't want to hear anything about suspension with or without pay. I don't want to hear them say, well, this officer has been suspended without pay or with pay. What I want to see is what Irv Gotti painted in tails. Pop go the weasel. For what he did to that woman. And until we are, and you know what I mean, come to these conclusion that I've came to. Again, 100 years ago, 200 years ago. Even if we say 200 years of Jim Crow, I can't say just 200 years of Christian Black Codes of 1724. I can't say just 200 or 300 years of Christian Crusades by way of the doctrine of discovery, because we know these things predate the vagrancy laws and the Christian Black Codes or whatnot, because all of this shit goes together. They came from the same invaders. None of our people got together and said, well, we're going to make up policies or laws or acts and codes that consist of telling people they can't be in a particular area at a particular time in order for us to become the wealthiest criminal enterprise on earth, because that's how they became the wealthiest criminal enterprise on earth, by way of incarceration rate that makes no sense to the most brutally toxic nations that exist, to people who are filthy rich off of diamonds and gold and plutonium and won't even provide their own citizen subjects with proper plumbing. It's not what we talk about. They don't have to do that here. A young man left a comment on one of the Facebook posts saying that, well, we have to admit that as much bullshit as we go through in this country, that we're blessed, or how he say that shit, baby? We're unappreciative or whatever he said. Bruh, like I said last night, we omitting the fact that these invader nations, because I hate to even call them Europeans, based on Europea. And sometimes when I refer to them as Eurasians, I feel kind of a way as well, but point blank, they're invaders. If they themselves say that within their definitions of what an American is, they always talking about they're an American. Y'all said Americans are carpet colored, right? And you said they were the various carpet colored races that were on this land when y'all arrived to this land. I just don't understand why y'all ain't went the fuck back home. How much oppression do you plan to inflict on the people? And how much wealth do you plan to rob the people of? Again, 300 trillion. I said 260 trillion the other day. 300 trillion. You have amassed a worth of over 300 trillion. I can't even say $300 trillion because I don't even feel comfortable with that. being that we have so many terms: fiat, promissory notes, Fed notes. Give me some more. Give me some more. Gold certificates, silver certificates. What my people in the comments at? Help me out. Somebody knows something. I know you do. I know you do. You wouldn't be watching if you didn't know anything. Again, they don't drag the sons and daughters and dignitaries of the various Native American tribes who they recognize. They don't snatch their clan mothers and chiefs out their cars. They don't tell them that they're anywhere trespassing at a certain time and they're not allowed to be there. And if they don't sign this document next to that X look real familiar, make your DNA start tricking off and shit. You know what I'm talking about? They don't force them into shit. They make these types of demands of us, and when we refuse it, when they say you resisting because you're not willing to give your consent to do business with these peoples. See, we need somebody in the forefront to talk about what we're talking about and address what we are addressing. Let me see. The state of Tennessee cannot hide the fact that they are a business, that they were incorporated in a particular year and have a charter to prove it. They can't deny that, right? So how is it that they can deny us the right of not doing business with their ass? I'm asking y'all. Am I crazy? Am I crazy? I can't be crazy. That's just like you tell me that you was born December 16th, 1969. You say you was born December 16th, 1969. Your parents tell me the exact same thing. My child was born December 16th, 1969. So you tell me that, your parents tell me that, and your church or your reverend or your imam or your rabbi from the temple, the synagogue or whatnot say, hey, it's recorded in our records that this man or woman was born December 16th, 1969, right? And I'm telling you no, and no, they were not. I don't know you. Or let's just say the city of Boston, since I see Boston on the screen. The city of Boston is saying that that's not true. That's false. They saying that you are somebody else and you was born August 8th, 1971. But your imam, your mom, your pop, your kindergarten teacher, all say something that's in total contrast of what somebody else is stating they claim with no recorded documentation to back up their false claims. Right? But what the city of Boston does have is thousands of armed militia peoples who y'all call policia. Right? And not only that, they are a subsidiary. Although the city of Boston, I can't say, I don't know. Can I go as far as to say that the city of Boston predates the state of Massachusetts, y'all? I'm not from round chair. I'm from over here. Hair. Hair. I'm from over here. You know what I'm talking about? So over here, I know the city of Detroit predates. It predates the state of Michigan. I know this as a fact. Right? I know this as a fact. I don't know if it's a fact. I sound like Trump making excuses and shit. I don't know if it's a fact. I don't know if it's a fact that I told y'all that you should never plead the fifth, because what do you have to hide? If you're not a criminal, you don't have to plead the fifth. That's what he said. But that ain't what he said the other day when they was, you know what I'm talking about? Now he's saying that, now I understand why people plead the fifth. See, you're double talking. You're full of shit. Because that's what business, the people who are trying to be prosperous within their business affairs will lie to you. I'm not here promoting no fucking business. I'm here trying to save the peoples. And it's not like I'm really telling you shit anyway. You just never looked at it through a clear lens. It was always a politician or a policy enforcer uh wanting you to submit or give consent or not challenge their authority. But how can a business enforce authority on any goddamn body? Only way that can be done is if you're suing me for violating or damaging your business. So you show me how that sister damaged the city of Atlanta by way of being in a park after hours when she didn't have any knowledge of it. Yes, the cop pulled up, the slave catcher pulled up, the highwayman pulled up with his little badge and his little shotgun and his pistol and shit and his taser and let her know, hey, the city of Atlanta, this corporate entity known as the city of Atlanta says that you are not allowed to be in this territory at this particular time. Okay? And we would like to sue you for $100 or $200 or whatever it is for violating that. What I'm asking y'all to do is in your mental Rolodex, roll back to when the first no trespassing sign was put up, who the fuck it was for. And then fast forward to 200 years later and see that this United States of America and their subsidiaries known as cities with their city ordinance and with their subsidiaries known as states, not as estates, not as real estate, known as states. They don't refer to themselves as being estates or real estate. I'm saying this for a reason to you, right? Know this. I don't want to get off subject. I'm gonna get off subject if I go into this, but I'm gonna have to go into this later on. We're gonna talk about landlords, right? How long I been on here? Ooh, we ain't got that much time, y'all, because I'm not talking more than an hour no more. Being that I'm limited and I'm censored, by way of the fact that we don't own these venues that we broadcast through. Maybe if a melanated man or woman owns StreamYard, maybe it would be a lower amount that I would be paying in order to utilize it, right? And I will be, responsible for helping somebody else build wealth that looks like me. Y'all say that's bad. You look at that as a negative because you have been indoctrinated to fuck yourself and your own people, to be okay with your own people being kidnapped and sexually assaulted and held for ransom for not signing a document with the city of Atlanta by way of the state of Georgia, right? Because you forgot about all of the crimes that the state of Georgia has committed against your ancestors by way of even being a state. The state of Georgia, if the state of Georgia did not violate any of our ancestors, they would not be a state. It would still be an estate, right? That you are the caretakers of, right? Even if we just dealt with the original sections, the 20 eliminated sections from the 13th Amendment, Georgia would be a part of your estate. But here it is, this melanated man who ain't got fucking common sense, let alone knowledge of self, is willing to kidnap one of his own in the name of the city of Atlanta, who has thousands of melanated men, women, and children, innocent men, women, and children incarcerated. How is it innocent people get incarcerated? Because you make up millions of statutes and acts and codes that you call laws and you make them into fucking crimes. You make collecting rainwater on Tuesday a crime. You make navigating What's that? You make navigating a car without registering it with the state of Georgia a crime. You make not having State Farm and Geico or whatever insurance on this particular car a crime, right? No, it's only a crime if I injure some fucking body, right? And again, I could still not have Allstate and Geico and AAA and whoever else, right? But it doesn't mean that I'm not 100, that I don't incur 100% liability in all my affairs. See, they're operating on presumption and assumption by saying anything else. They don't know what's in my Bank of America account. They don't know what's in my pocket. They don't know what's in my Citizens. What's the name of that other bank account I got with the green card? I can say that, and y'all say that's funny. You got a bank account in, let's see, I think I've been with this bank right now for 6 years as they are. But prior to them being called what they're being called now, they was being called Charter One. And before they was called Charter One, they was called First Federal Bank. Okay, when I was the executive of my mom's estate after she passed, I had an account with First Federal or Federal One or whatever fuck. Then they changed their name to Charter One. Now they Citizens. What's the name of that shit, babe? My green bank account, the green card with the green debit card and shit. That's how these people do. Once upon a time. And once upon a time, like 2 years ago, the state that you call Rhode Island was known as Providence, Rhode Island Providence Plantations is what their name lawfully and legally is. I should just say legally, because lawfully none of these motherfuckers even exist. According to law. According to law, they are what they really are. But according to legalese, they can exist as corporate entities. But they are breaking international law. They are violating human rights, indigenous rights, the rights of a name, the rights of a child to a name, a nationality, the 1959, all of these various declarations internationally that they are violating. You say, how do we get them to adhere? Or do you expect for criminals to honor law? Criminals don't honor no fucking law. They break and violate the law. That's what they do. Right? With they lice and fleas and ticks and lice and fleas. You said love is love. I asked you, would you marry a cat or a dog? Since you're willing to deal with lice and flicks and flicks and what you call this? Ticks. I call them T's, my bad, y'all. Fleas and lice and ticks. I ain't fucking with y'all at all. That's an excuse. That's an excuse for your fucking self-hate. Right? Caretakers and lords of the land or landlords. Funny, landlords, you don't see, when you say landlords and you say lords, you strictly thinking male, right? He, him. When you know some women who are landlords, right? They go collect that rent, whether it's from the church, like how my mama used to do. Peace be upon her. And my grandparents, maternally and paternally. Mama used to go collect the rent as a landlord from the church and the houses. So, okay, let's talk about the PawnKey Pox. PAWNKEYPOX, like chicken pox, like smallpox. Pawn, a piece, that's a pawn, and a key. I just seen some keys over here, like a key, like the my ankh, it ain't on my neck right now. That's the key. PawnKey. Why do I call it PawnKey Pox? It almost sounds like honky pox. PawnKey Pox. It's a pawn and it's a key. A pawn can be a key if you are a master at chess. You know that, right? Know it better than me because I really don't deal with chess like that. I may think and function in that manner, but as far as the board game, which this is how we started to build off, I really don't rock with it like that. And not because it's not some of the most powerful shit that you can participate in. It's time consuming. For me, time is everything because so much of my time has been wasted by way of me being forced into doing business with these invaders and their subsidiaries, their incorporated states that sit on top of my ancestors' estates, right? They got things messed up. So let's talk about the PawnKey Pox right quick before I go, y'all. I got a few minutes. We're gonna talk about that, right? PawnKey Pox. They haven't changed the fact that what I don't think that validation is a good word. What they have said is that the PawnKey Pox is predominantly transmitted by way of or via homosexual males, right? Same way when they started talking about HIV, they said the same shit. It's predominantly transmitted by way of homosexual males, right? Same thing they said about the PawnKey Pox, but now you're having some children come up with it, the babies, right? Okay. But they still insist that PawnKey Pox is predominantly transmitted by way of homosexual men. And they're sticking to that and saying that that is a scientific fact. And what I say about science, we ain't gonna go back. We're gonna go forward because we gotta go. Right? Never any absolutes. Thank you. So now what they are saying, I heard a statistic that they dropped Thursday. No, that was yesterday. The first time I think I heard it. They're saying now that melanated people are the fastest growing infected population of the PawnKey Pox. But they're still standing by their statement that PawnKey Pox is predominantly transmitted by homosexual males. It's a reason I'm pointing this out, y'all. Follow me, stay with me. They're sticking to their guns. They say homosexual males are the biggest transmitters of monkeypox. There, I said it. You know what I'm saying? Even though PawnKey Pox was dope. Okay? Now, adding to their statement, they're saying that the largest growing infected people are melanated people, or what they call black or African Americans, right? But they say that these African American people only make up 13% of this nation's population, right? Let's do the math. We this must make sense. So you're saying 13% of the population, right? And what I said earlier was this. I said, let's just say I'm not even doing the percentage versus the 250 million, or they say it's 300 because it was 250 million when I was still attending school. Now they say it's 300 million so-called Americans. Let's do this. North Americans, United States of Americanese. Do that even make sense? Let's say it's 20 million of them, of the others, and there's 1 million of us, right? And there is a disease that is infecting predominantly homosexual people, males specifically. And y'all are your medical association, your World Health Organization, they're making these statements. So they put Nate John Hancock on this shit, right? You saying our population is the largest carriers. You cannot make that make sense because essentially what you are saying is that although melanated people make up a very small percentage of this nation's population, they have the most gay people. Excuse me, they have the most homosexual men than a population of so-called whites that is more than 3 times our population in numbers. See, this is where they make their mistakes at, and you can really see the fraud if you pay attention. That is not mathematically possible. If this was what they are saying now, if this shit was true, we would be the ones who had a negative birth rate, not them. And not only that, again, you can't take a people who you say only make up 13% of the population versus the people who you say are the majority of the population and say that this 13% of people has more homosexual people than the people who make up the other, 87%? Say I just cut the other people right out, huh? I'm saying that, does that make sense to you? Mathematically, it's fucking impossible. Now, don't take this and say that I'm saying that this PawnKey Pox doesn't exist. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying this is obvious. This is the illogical points that they are making. It just shit don't make sense. There's no way you're talking about 1 million. Let's just say we 1 million and they 13 million, right? Let's say that out of that 13 million that they hold, their population of 13 million, let's say 2% of their people are homosexual, okay? And then out of this 1 million, no, we say 20%. 20% over here with they 13 million and 20% of us, right? So that would mean 200,000 people over here are homosexual, right? And what is 20% of how much population I said they was? I said 13 million. I took it from 20 because earlier it was easier when I said 20 million. Do that math in your head. All you have to say is 2 times 13 is what? 26, right? 2 times 13 is 26. So, boom. That would be 2.6 million of they people. And just off the top of my head, even if I'm wrong, 2.6 million people versus 800,000 people, that math don't go together. You can't keep telling the people that the PawnKey Pox is predominantly passed and transmitted by way of homosexual men, right? And then 2 days later or 2 weeks later, you're gonna tell the people that the biggest population, the infected population, growing infected population of people is the melanated people. When you said this is a homosexual thing, is what you said without saying it. Because you said homosexual, huh? I was right. I said 2.6 million. See, when it comes to numbers, you can't. I might not be the sharpest, but I fuck with numbers, right? It don't make sense. You're not surprised the people will lie to you. If they will indoctrinate you, it's the same thing. Lying to me and indoctrinating me is the same thing. And again, when we talk about the police, let's go back to that before we go home. I said police. I mentioned poverty and prosperity. When you're talking about police and people living in poverty, and you're talking about pastors and pimps and popes, wealthy people don't gravitate towards pastors, pimps, and popes and rabbis. All right? That would be the people who are living just above the poverty line, at the poverty line, or fucking below the poverty line, who are incompetent enough to believe in pimps and rabbis and imams and Reverend Pork Chop and Pastor Pimpin'. Wealthy people don't give a fuck about none of that shit. And you say it's because wealthy people are evil, but you praying that your fucking rent get paid. Because you ain't got it. You can't make that make sense. But again, of course, you are going to heavily saturate areas of poverty with the police presence. Why? Why you do that, America? Why the state of Illinois function like that? Why the state of Kentucky function this way? Because those are the areas that you're going to be able to not just prosecute. You're going to be able to kidnap them people, sexually assault them, hold them for ransom, and incarcerate them. And that's what their business practice and methods and procedures and processes, administrative process, admiralty, maritime, that's how they've been doing shit since they fucking arrived. These are their business goals, which they have been very successful at. You cannot make sense of a population of 300 million people having goddamn what percentage of their population incarcerated, as to where it's such an astronomical number that other nations are still in disbelief of it. And other nations, they not in disbelief that this so-called government would do this to their sovereign population of people, which are very few. Those numbers are small. They're surprised that the people have allowed this to happen for the decades that has happened. They say the 13th Amendment is one of the most important goddamn policies that they pushed. So the 13th Amendment is that important to this said government. Why didn't all of your states ratify it? Number one. Number two, why did you eliminate the 20 sections within the 13th Amendment that was actually beneficial to the people who you say you saving? That's not how they do business. That's not profitable for them. Police is not about prosperity of the people. Police equal poverty of the people. In our situations, again, when there's a crime being committed, when there's an actual emergency that calls for emergency lights to be flashed and people to be saved or rescued, or people to be rescued from murderers and rapists and robbers, right now they are aggressively harassing the people of Detroit all over, based on the fact of the heightened murder clearance rate. Like a clearance sale at Hudson's or Macy's. I keep saying Hudson's and Macy's, Kmart, Walmart, Target. Y'all say Target, they say Target. Foot Locker, clearance sale. Well, they have a murder clearance rate. And the murder rate has heightened. So they're killing off their potential prisoners, and they don't want that. So now they're going to run around harassing people by way of extortion. They're going to steal your car, stop you from getting to work to be able to feed your family, pay your house note and your car note or whatever you're doing. Again, a system created to remove all your rights and enslave you will never be responsible for your prosperity or reciprocity. So me resisting and not giving consent makes more sense than me signing my Christian appellation, or what y'all call a name, next to an X by way of the city of Atlanta, waiving all of my rights. So I write TDC. Remember this, write TDC, T.D.C. And if you want to make something that looks like a signature or authorized, what is it? Authorized signature? Help me out, y'all. Agent, all of that. Put it on there. And write TDC on top of it. Some of y'all write UCC 1-207. Some of y'all write UCC 1-308. Unwillingly, unknowingly, We don't want to contract at all. But if we don't contract with these bitches, they rob you, they beat your ass. In some states, since they not a us state, they a state. They take your children by way of CP, what they call it, CPS, all kind of crazy shit. Peace got us, Empress. Pretty much same. What do I? We do the same thing. We got to keep talking about the same issues based on the fact that we haven't rectified them. Again, we'll look at various Moors. Peace to the guy. Jamal is out. He was bonded out. You say that shit don't work. What y'all talking about don't work. The problem is you are expecting for criminals to honor all law. Criminals don't not honor no all law. They do not. They break those covenants. They break those all laws. Again, they have a state. You were given an estate, a grand estate, real estate. Y'all like to bring up chapter 40 something of the Holy Quran? What is it? Help me out, y'all. Come on. It's been a minute since I really gave a fuck about any of that shit. Because I wasn't seeing the people physically. A pen is as can be as mighty as a sword. I understand that. But physically, what are you doing? See, if that would have been me and my man at the park, that would have been a scrap. The guy is standing there and he already signed a ticket and he asking the officer to stop assaulting a woman and he's not out. He's not stopping. So we would have been scrapping. I didn't see more than one cop. I saw one cop. Could have been more than one cop because none of us was there. But we know the basics. The basics is you are attempting to issue this sister a citation and she's questioning your authority. And that angers you. Because you got this badge that came from the city of Atlanta. And they have all the authority because they got all the fucking guns and what they say goes. And they have the right to create hundreds of thousands of statues and acts and codes on a yearly basis in order to rob the people and become more wealthy. Fuck the people living in poverty. Their goal is to gain more wealth. And my question is, how much wealth do they intend on acquiring? They've been here a couple centuries now. It's time to go back to France and Spain and England and Ireland and Germany and wherever the fuck, Italy, Greece. How much more wealth at 300 trillion ain't enough? And again, I would want to be, if I claim that my race or my nation is superior, white supremacist, right? I would want to be on that land of my fucking ancestors that made me fucking superior. I don't want to be on the land of the savages. You said North, South, and Central America, when you arrived, was full of savage people. And you said the same thing about what they call Africa. You call the people savages. But these people, these indigenous, aboriginal, autochthonous people from these savage lands, and these lands had gold or have to this day. Y'all funny. Y'all think that Spain and Portugal and England was powerful enough to extort or steal all the goddamn gold out of North, Central, and South America and out of North, South, and Central Africa? You think they that motherfucking powerful? If you ever thought that they already took all the gold and then make it make sense that now the Chinese are moving in. You can't, because that statement don't make no sense. Don't even waste your time. They haven't been to every place on this mother plane. They're still attempting to create alliances with tribes or clans or nations of people who never even seen a cracker. Dropping rice over here and people throw that shit right back to your ass. They already got their own fruits and vegetables and various species of fish and stuff like that they eat. They hunt themselves. Got an ecosystem, springs of mineralized, 'cause I don't want to say clean water, you know what I'm saying, but mineralized water that they survived off of for probably millions. I'm not gonna say thousands, I'm gonna say millions of years. So what we leaved out, I talked a little bit about the police. I talked a little bit about Pastor Pimpin and the popes. Sick of them all. They have violated. Yes, they have. Yes, they have. The expiration dates on some of these mandates and non-existent treaties. There's no reason for them to honor any treaties and no reason for us to talk about any treaties, in my humble opinion, because again, I don't see a clan mother's signature, and this is not being biased or sexist or showing side for a particular gender. Throughout all of this, when we talk about war, when we talk about treaties and constitutions and things of that nature, we predominantly talk about men signing these documents, men fighting these wars, right? For land that, according to our matriarchal ancient ways of lives, mama did that, not daddy. Daddy protected and secured and enforced the laws. Mama made them. So mama didn't create none of them treaties or sign none of them treaties with none of these invader ass nations. Them treaties, the same way the mandates expired, or non and void or fraudulent. And I heard, I don't know, I said somebody, they try to make me eat my words, right? Because we can say it's no, excuse me, y'all, no statute of limitations on murder, right? And we say there's no statute of limitations on fraud. But yet, when you go into their compiled laws and statutes and codes, you'll find some variations in which there is a statute of limitation on fraud, right? But it starts when you're aware of the fraud. So if somebody took land away from the generation of my ancestors before me, right? That one generation before me, and they didn't know that this was done with fraudulent practices, right? But I find it out in my generation. So from the moment that I discovered this fraud is when the timeline would begin, as far as stipulations or whatnot, a statute of limitation, excuse me, y'all. That's how that works according to them. But again, if I'm not interested in participating in doing business with any of these entities, I should not be forced into having interactions with them. And at the end of the day, that's the point of contention. That's where we are at with this shit. So we start small. We can't start big. We tried that already. With us starting big, what happened is many of brothers and sisters who begin to function as sovereigns, because you are, had their properties and some of their cars, and again, in some situations, their children taken away from them unlawfully. Again, we all know what's legal is not always lawful, and what is Lawful isn't always legal. The same way what's illegal may not always be unlawful, and what's unlawful may not always be illegal. That shit sound crazy as hell, but this is the predicament that we're in as a people. So the facts must be demonstrated, not what you think, what you believe, what is actuality. We trying to be accurate, right? And what I just said is an accurate statement through and through. What's legal is not always lawful. What's lawful is not always legal. That's two different systems. You can just simply try to place it within a public or private venue, but it goes beyond that, right? You have the right not to participate in your own fucking demise. Again, as a people, we reserve the right to not participate in our own demise. So you telling this sister that she has to sign this ticket or you gonna kidnap her, it's her you forcing her to participate in her own demise. If she signs the citation, then she's liable for all of the compiled laws that it exists on, that it stands on. And with that, we say peace.
Supreme.
Shock. Etymology.
They say I'm dope, I said I'm smoke, fire, blowing air, carbon, earth, solid, water, wet. I'm steady beat, a sister soldier that dies effects. So gone with all that hoopla and rah-rah, unless you talking about Atun, Namuna, Amara, pineal glands, all seeing eyes. We call the third eye, we came to build, not pay your bill. Slang municipality, city seals like roadkill, descendants of ancient mound builders. Not supposed to need encyclopedias, genetically encoded with 720. We got amnesia, claiming we Christian cretins in love with Yahweh, Muhammad, and Jesus, but you was living inside of God when you was a fetus. But believers and never believers